All right, so good afternoon, everyone. It's such a pleasure, being part of S4X25 and having attended various sessions on, different vendor systems. I think it's not only timely but absolutely critical that we start talking about the integration and collaboration. My session today, it's all about stronger together, the power of collaboration to secure critical infrastructure. It's about how different companies, different solutions can come together to create an impactful cyber defense system. And my name is Syed Bilal, and I've been I'm part of the operational technology and industrial control system cybersecurity for more than 16 years, and I have seen firsthand how threat evolved and how integration can actually help you to create a cyber defense system. Over the next 25 minutes, I'll be covering why critical infrastructures are such high-value target, how integration can help you to actually tackle the threats, and some real-world example of how collaboration can actually help you to secure the critical infrastructure. And by the end of this session, I'm pretty sure that you'll agree, integration and collaboration are not advantages, but they are necessity. So let's pause for a moment. I'd like to pose a question that what is the true cost of a cyber attack on critical infrastructures? In 2023 alone, the cyber attacks on critical infrastructure surged by 50%. And we all know what happened in case of Colonial Pipeline attacks, right? Back in 2021, there was shortage of fuel, widespread panic, and so on. But that said, that was one of the examples. Cyber attacks on oil and gas, power, pulp and paper, are increasing. And we also know what happened in case of Ukraine power grid attack. So imagine your power grid is under attack. So what would happen? The communication network would fail, hospitals would lose power, your emergency response team, would struggle to actually respond. So what we should do, integration, collaboration, and proactive cybersecurity measures are the key. Governments, private firms, cybersecurity experts, they should come together to actually detect threat, respond swiftly, and create a cyber resilient system before the disaster strike. The question of major attack is not if, but when, and are we ready for it? So why the critical infrastructure matters? We know that they're high target. The oil rigs, the pipelines, the power industries. These interconnected systems are the backbone of modern life. They actually light our home, fuel our car, and of course power industries. But at the same time, they are fragile. There are vulnerabilities. So if those vulnerabilities are exploited, the consequences can be catastrophic. Simple oil spills can cause you environmental disaster for decades. If you are part of any power grid and for some reason the pressure increased for a cyber attack in one of the boilers, it can not only kill you, but it can kill everyone around you. And of course, the global economic loss is always part of it. So now that we understand that the critical infrastructure is so important and securing critical infrastructure is so important, we need to understand that securing the critical infrastructure is not an IT issue. It's a global priority. Over 70% of the critical infrastructure have faced cyber attacks over the last 2 years. And we need to tackle the evolving threat somehow. However, to tackle those, we have mainly 3 key challenges. First of all, the attackers are sophisticated. We have targeted ransomware attack. And we all know that the ransomware attack on oil rigs and power utilities, just for an obvious reason, that is massive payouts. We have nation-state actors, and they have advanced technology to cause operation disruption. Now, one thing I want to bring your attention is these attacks, they are not random hacks. They are strategic, deliberate, and obviously dangerous. On the top of that, our industrial control systems, they are complex. We have legacy systems. that are more than 10 years old, and or maybe 20 in some cases. And with that, we have modern technology installed. So this patchwork, creates a gap that actually the attackers can exploit. With these two key challenges, we have fragmented defenses. Means you have standalone cybersecurity tool in one part of your network, and at the same time, if that part of network detects some kind of threat, it does not communicate to other parts of network. So when the holistic picture or image is missing, that creates a vulnerability that is being exploited by attackers every day. So let's talk about it a little bit more. Imagine that you have puzzles from different sets, and you're trying to create a beautiful picture. No matter how hard you try, they won't fit. There will always be a gap, and this gap is actually the vulnerability created by standalone cybersecurity tools in your critical infrastructure. Now imagine that you're going to create a beautiful mosaic with some kind of pre-designed, pre-cut pieces. You need to ensure that they perfectly match each other to actually create the beautiful picture. That is like when different companies come together, ensure that your product is actually perfectly integrating with other products, and thus you are creating the holistic view. So that's what, and this is just the beginning. But I want to mention one thing here, that shifting from silos to collaboration, it's not only a technical advancement, it's also a mindset change. But we need to do that for a better, more secure and safer future. So what are the other key benefits that we can get from integration? Unified visibility. Now, imagine that you have cameras in every room of your home, but you can access only one camera at a time, or you can record only one camera at a time. You're not getting the holistic view. So that is like a standalone cybersecurity tool. One part of the network is detecting some threat, but not communicating with other parts of network. Now, if you have cameras, depending on your presence or some threat's presence, or depending on the heat map, it can actually access multiple cameras at a time, and it can show you the trends, the movements, and you can record accordingly. That is the unified visibility I'm talking about. Faster response is another key benefits. So it's like an automatic braking system. It actually detects the obstacles between your car, the distance between the obstacles and your car, and the speed of your car, and accordingly it can apply brake. So when a threat, a OT threat, break into your system, sometimes it doesn't take hours. It can take minutes or seconds to cause the damage actually, or to make the changes. So we need some kind of faster response that we can get from collaboration integration, so that we can detect the threat and neutralize it before it can cause you some catastrophic incident. Reduced complexity. Definitely, if different companies are working together to integrate with each other, to ensure that we're working for the same goal, to secure the critical infrastructure, then it's like shifting from a manual mode to an automated dashboard where every information is present at your fingertips. And last but most importantly is the shared intelligence. Different companies need to work together to share intelligence such as IOCs and threats, vulnerabilities. The moment you detect it, you share with your peers. So it's like, imagine one of the industry was a victim of ransomware, but it shared intelligence so that other industries can get benefit of it and can actually be protected from similar ransomware attack. So let's take a case study. When there's a polling, everyone would like to have a case study. Of course, this is IEC 62443 Purdue model. From level 3.5 below till level 0, you have OT network, and everything from level 3.5 and up, you have IT network. Now, let's say there is a firewall at level 3, and I detected some kind of intrusion. The firewall noticed that something similar to Stuxnet or Triton is detected. Now, am I 100% sure that the firewall detected it before it got spread into the OT network or after? I'm not 100% sure. Now, I also see unusual behavior between level 2 and level 1. Some kinds of packets are observed where actually we did not experience this kind of packets earlier. My file integrity monitoring system shows me that the PLC configuration files is okay, nothing got changed, but my critical safety system files got changed. There is a checksum not matching. And then I have a change management system where I can see side by side what got changed in my safety system. And last but not least, I need to check whether the safety system that recently had a configuration change, whether that is in program mode or run mode. Now, I have mentioned many things here. Now, the intrusion detected by the some unusual abnormal behavior detected by the network, the file integrity monitoring for PLCs and safety systems, change management side by side, and what's their mode, program or run mode. You cannot have all these, using single solution. You need a firewall vendor. You need a network performance monitoring vendor. You need a change management vendor that understands PLC and safety system files. You need a file integrity monitor. And of course, you need respective PLC and safety system vendor to understand whether it's in program mode or run mode. But if I want to have this kind of view, I need to have all my software, all my product talking to each other and give this view. Now, it's quite possible that actually nothing happened. My firewall actually detected the intrusion and prevented it, and this was some kind of legitimate or authorized changes. Fair enough, I can approve them, but there is possibility as well that some threat actually broke into my network and tried to change something in my safety system and pushed it to the main processor, and which will be very similar to Triton. So it's always demand an investigation. Now that we understood the one of the case studies, let me start with a strong code. Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. And that is very much applicable to our operational technology network or the critical infrastructure industry. So cybersecurity firms, they should be coming together. They should be doing partnership. They should be identifying their own gap and ensure that there is another company that's fulfilling that gap. If I'm a vulnerability management vendor, then I need to ensure that I talk to the threat management vendor, and together we ensure the threat is detected before the vulnerability is actually exploited. Sharing threat intelligence, like indicator of compromise, this needs to be shared. If your red team identified something that is not part of NVD, definitely that can be shared with your peers, shared with your industry. Like I mentioned earlier, if one industry can detect, ransomware, it can actually communicate to other industries. So imagine there is a company, there is a cybersecurity firm working with regulators, working with government, and created some kind of protocol to protect all other industry from supply chain attack. That will definitely benefit everyone. Creating training programs. Doesn't matter, how much advanced tool you use actually, the most important part is empowering your people. Imagine there is a refinery technician, he detected some kind of threat. He informed the cybersecurity team, and actually, the threat was neutralized before it caused you some kind of damage. So that's all we are heading to. So how the real world impact of collaboration looks like. Let me start with number 3, the healthcare, because of one obvious reason. When there's a polling for this session, most of the people voted that the healthcare is actually number 1 vulnerable area. So for an obvious reason, simple ransomware attack can actually halt your critical care operations. On the top of that, if there is a data breach, then confidential information like your patient's file, can be exposed. So we're talking about not only availability but confidentiality, and definitely, this kind of collaboration can not only help, to ensure availability, but also to secure your patient's file and ensure confidentiality. Next one is the refineries, and oftentimes we always think that availability matters most in refineries, but at the same time we do have some configuration files that are highly confidential. I have taken an example of the firewalls. So for some reason, if the configuration file of that firewall is exposed or some kind of data breach happens, then the attackers will know what ports are open, what time, and among what endpoints. So that's good enough for them to start a successful attack. So in refineries, we don't need to ensure only availability, but we need to ensure, like critical configuration files, that can benefit the attackers are kept confidential. And the last one is pulp and paper. So like I mentioned, definitely, the threat visibility will help them if we can actually collaborate and if we can create, a solution, where all the companies coming together and talking to each other. Then there is no standalone cybersecurity tool. So if one part of the network, detects some kind of threat, it communicates to other part of network. That will definitely, help the pulp and paper industry as well. So how the future of securing critical infrastructure looks like, of course we all are talking about AI and machine learning. So how we can use AI, if we can use AI to predict the pattern of the threat, that would be great. So before the threat is formed, we can predict the pattern of the threat, and we can be prepared. We can be one step ahead, and the moment the threat is formed, we can actually neutralize it. Machine learning is being used now. Like I have discussed about the abnormal behavior of the network. So if there is some kind of new pattern or packet that you're observing in your OT network, that can be part of the investigation. Of course, you cannot prevent it as part of industrial control system network, but you can actually investigate that. Why do I have a new pattern? Did someone break into my network and started some kind of attack activity or something like that? Machine learning can also be used, like I discussed about safety system. If there is a safety system, that you did not change for last 10 years, and all of a sudden you see that, that safety system got changed, okay, that is also alarming, even if it's, maybe it's an authorized change, but that demands an investigation. Zero trust architecture, the philosophy is simple, never trust, always verify. So, when we talk about the never trust, always verify, we're not yet there. Like, in future, every user, every device, every system, should be actually verified, whether it's legitimate or not. And if we can reach there, then even if some threat break into your industrial control system network, that cannot make any changes, and that can be detected and neutralized. Cross-industry collaboration, I think I've covered this already. I mean, you need to talk to each other. If you identify some kind of IOCs or indicator of compromise, if you identify some kind of threat or vulnerability that is not public anymore, definitely you can share, with others, and other industry can be benefited of it. Cloud security integration is like you can have one of your private cloud even if if you don't are connected to the public domain, but at the same time, you can have all your hardware, firmware, software, listed there. So, the moment you have an update, for firmware, or maybe you have a patch for software, you can immediately, detect it, and you can actually push for the update, before those vulnerabilities are exploited by potential attackers. So that said, why I'm doing this presentation? Definitely, we need everyone. We need you. Starting with leaders. So, leaders, executive leaders, you need to invest in integrated solution and partnership. You need to ensure that different companies are talking to each other. This is very much, this is very much an example of I explained to you about the puzzles. So though different companies are working on different cybersecurity tools, you need to ensure that they integrate seamlessly. Every puzzle is important, but only if they align perfectly. Organization, you need to change your culture a little bit. Like I said, it's a mindset change. You need to prioritize collaborative framework. You need to identify the gaps that maybe you cannot fulfill in coming years, and you can let other company to fill the gaps, and then you fill their gap as well. So together, we need to do this. The threat, respect no boundary, and neither should we. We should also work together. Individuals like me, I recommend that we advocate for the importance of the unified cybersecurity. That's what I'm doing now, and I want every individual actually to advocate, the individual cybersecurity, so unified cybersecurity program. So, like I mentioned earlier, by the end of this session, you need to realize that integration, collaboration, they are not optional, they are not advantage. They're absolutely necessity. And there is a reason that this presentation is happening at the end, because like I mentioned earlier, having attended all other sessions, by this time you understood what are the benefits, what are the advantages of different product, different services. Now it's time to bring them together, integrate them, and do the collaboration. So with that, I would like to end my presentations. Thank you very much. That's my email address, that's my LinkedIn, and if you would like to know more about how Hexagon is actually doing the integration collaboration, or we do have our own cybersecurity product, if you'd like to know about how we're securing the critical infrastructure, you are more than welcome to scan that QR code and know more about them. If you have any questions, I would like to welcome you. There is a mic in the middle, and I'm open for any question.
Amir from Fortinet. So most of the environments are legacy, right, in OT. So how do we integrate those systems? Do you have any suggestions, recommendations for that?
Yeah, thank you, Samir, for these questions. Like I mentioned, it's not a destination, it's a journey. We need to start the journey. I mean, definitely it's not happening now, but I recommend, different vendors. They come together, when they are actually creating the roadmap, they ensure that, as part of their roadmap, they integrate with other solutions, and, it happens seamlessly. Like I mentioned, it has to be you have to shift from manual mode to automated dashboard mode. But thank you for your question.
Thank you.
All right, if there is no more question, thank you. Thank you very much for your attention.